Hello and welcome to Farming Simulator 17. I'm Andy and this is the Let's Play on the Lone Oak Farm. So we are starting to seed actually. We have started seeding with soybeans actually, but it's not the first seeding. We'll seed it before too. Let's see, 43, field 43. So we go from where we are. 2 headlands. We don't need a bypass. There we go. And we'll near and right. So that's seeding away. Good. Let's save it. Field 3. Put that under seeding. And we're done. Not done. We started, but we are seeding at least. So doesn't use a huge amount of seed. I haven't refilled the seed, but what I have refilled quite a lot is fertilizer. It does seem to use quite a lot of fertilizer. I have planted field 30, 29, 20, 19, 18, 28. Now I'm doing 43. Oh, I missed a spot there. Ah, never mind. And these are fully fertilized, I think. Yeah. So these are fully fertilized. I need to fertilize that one though. 32 and 33. Maybe I should do that. Come and set that up once actually. Where is my... There it is. Oh, sorry. So I get this loaded up. I need to buy some more fertilizer, I think. Because we're gonna go do a bunch of corn too. So we need more fertilizer, I think. So 3,000 liters, and now we're heading up to field, what was it, 32? Actually, we should do the spraying after starting to emerge, I guess. We can go and plant. They do put this over there. We'll just park it over here and that will be ready for when we have some sort of growth there. On over to, where is it? There it is. So it uses quite a lot of fertilizer, as you might see. Here. I put a huge weight on the back on this one because otherwise you can lift these up. So these weigh not a ton, by the way, and quite a lot. They're 2,000 liters of liquid fertilizer, so quite a lot. Just catch up to this. I know this is not the way you would do this. I know. Sort of playing around with it. I guess it was full. I guess it got full. It's a huge planter. That's so huge. I think like 36 meters or something. Just gigantic. I finally got to use this tractor bit. By driving, because I need to drive around the fertilizer somehow. I could just go and refill it at the farm, but that's quite a drive. A waste of time, especially since I needed to refill this pretty often. I'll do the corners later. Go. Let's go and get another one. So courseplay is really good, and this is gonna be massive harvest when we get to that point, which is quite a bit off, so we're not there by far. As you see, I actually removed the money I had in the account, so now I put it down to 0. I think I had to borrow a bit because I had to buy this fork, so I had to borrow a bit of money, unfortunately. I'll probably have to borrow some more money to buy some more fertilizer. And we'll go minus because the machinery and everything will cost money to use, but we don't have any money in the bank. This is camera on this mod, but I just can't get it to see that. Ja, Hannes. Jag fixar det strax. So, wasn't full actually. So we'll go minus, but that's the way it is. We'll probably get it back when we harvest. I hope we'll get it back when we harvest. Should get a substantial amount of money in then, or during the seasons when we use our material. Comes up and down the field. Maybe we should just. There you go. It's weird. Why did it start there? I don't know. Weird. So I had to wait a bit because it had to go above 10 degrees. If you look at the calendar here, it had to be above 10. It wasn't before. The first day I could plant here, but it was below 10, so it didn't work. So now we're planting. So we're gonna plant corn. Corn had to be over 10 too. So otherwise we could have planted corn before, but it wasn't above 10. So this is the first point where we could actually plant corn. Corn harvest. Soybeans and corn is pretty much the same season there for harvest. So we'll see how that will work out for us. So I'm thinking the plan is plant these fields. And this one, these are wheat, I think. And this one will be which is a grass field, just a grass field. We'll plant these with soybeans, and I think we'll plant these two with soybeans too. So these ones, that one, and that, and these two are soybeans, and then we'll plant the rest of these, so around 30, 36, 50, 54, these with corn. It's my idea, my plan at least. If I get this working. I'm very tired. I woke up like 15 minutes past 5 and I was like, oh, should I do something? Should I get up? Should I try to fall asleep again? And then I figured, I was like, falling asleep again is probably a bad idea. Because, well, that's probably bad. Oh, I was listening to this podcast yesterday about victimhood, which is sort of new sociology, or maybe it's not new, but it's a sociology term. I was listening to this psychology podcast which I listened to, and they had a sociologist on whose research was in victimhood. It actually was genocide from the beginning, but which he found interesting. But he now switched to victimhood, and he studied some phenomena that they found on campuses in the state, and that it was that in some instances, I'm probably butchering this science, but from what I remember from the podcast, in some instances it's quite common that people will want to be victims in such a great extent that they will actually make up stories about being victims. So in some sort, we created a society where people being a victim is so important as a status status. There's a term of status or effective status. No, it's something that will give you status, and that people actually make up crimes, which is extremely interesting from my point of view, and makes everything sort of very difficult to judge. So, because how do you separate people being victims from actually being victims? Because they are victims, of course, people that are. You also found that there's a difference in, it's not like there's no moral into this, it's just science. And he found that people were, what he argued, that there's a difference between before. If you go back a few hundred years, people would basically have duels over their honor, and pride and honor was an important thing in your self-image. And then we slowly moved towards having a society where we taught our kids that it's only words, it doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt, and if you were to do something about it, you would do it within the legal system. Basically, you would I guess sue someone if you really had a problem with what they were saying, but most of the time you wouldn't do that either. So we moved to a society where we handled these instances more like in an official way, official manner. And that's interesting because he sees this victimhood change. So it's like a mix. We're suddenly returning to a pride and honor system. System maybe is the wrong word, but a pride and honor way of looking at ourselves and our self-image. At the same time, we are still solving it within the system. So the thing that was, he took an example that a professor said something in the order of how my kids have blue eyes, and someone actually took so much offense to it that they went to I'm sorry for laughing, but I think this is ridiculous. I'm sorry, this is totally, if the people are that easily violated, you need to do something about your self-image. I'm sorry, you need probably professional counseling. If you're violated by the fact that someone has said they want the kids with blue eyes, then you need professional help. I'm sorry, there's no way around it. But anyway, so they went to the campus, the prefect or whatever they're called in the States, and it's like file a complaint basically. Said it had been violated because someone said that they wanted kids with blue eyes. The professor said that. So and that's they're solving it within the system. They're going to the school system saying, "Hey, we can't be that. I'm violated. Please stop that. You can't violate me." And then so that's a weird thing. We're returning to an honor and pride system, but we're doing it within the system. It's like you go and duel your professors. And professors will probably go like, "Screw you, I'm not doing that." So it's sort of a mix between that. And they also talked about this interesting difference where you do have, I wonder if I can do this manual. Should be able to do this manual if I just follow the line here. Where how would you say it? Well, different sides. So there's the more victimhood movement, which is the wrong word, I know that, but it is some sort of movement where people feel a certain way, and on one side, and on the other side we have it's like an anti-PK, like anti-political correctness movement, where it's basically it's Trumpism or whatever you want to call it, which is a weird thing too, but it's there. And so basically you have both sides competing. Not competing is the wrong word, maybe. So you have the on one side, these are extremes of course, on one side you have this extreme victimhood movement where everything is a violation, and no one is allowed to do anything against you which makes you feel uncomfortable, and on the other side you have the reverse where you can pretty do much anything and violate, and well, I mean anyway, and that would be okay. So like you react maybe, and that's maybe so that's an explanation of why Trumpism rises, that sort of politically correctness movement rises, because we move too far to the other way. So we have gone too far in one way, and then suddenly these feelings rise and these movements rise. So, which is interesting if you look at the sort of pattern, but the fact that if you think that's a correct this way of describing it, if you buy into that, then the sort of the whole reason. Oh god, why did I do that? I should have stopped before. Then the whole sort of reason why Trumpism or that anti-politically correctness movement actually rises is our fault. So you could argue that it's actually we move too far to victimhood, the victimization idea, where everyone is a victim because you felt bad or uncomfortable about something, which is ludicrous. Just feelings, it doesn't hurt. You can't be killed by feelings. Then of course there's real victimization and real racism and real institutional racism. There's a lot of things that is absolutely proper to attack and change. So I'm not saying there isn't victimization. I'm not saying that there isn't points of changing that needs to be changed. There's always things that can be better. But if you pull it too far to the extreme in that way, so everyone is a victim and everyone needs to have the right to not be violated, and everyone has to feel not to feel uncomfortable. If you move too far, when you give rise to another movement, which is the contradictory, which goes too far to that side. So by moving too far to victimization, we also enable the rise of anti-political correctness, where you can basically violate anyone in any way you want, which is also not very good in a societal point of view. Oh, my kids.
Vad är det?
Kommer. Sorry, my kids want breakfast. I have to go and give them breakfast. So I'll just finish my thought. So basically, by enabling one way or going too far an extreme in one way, we have created an extreme in the other way. Like there's a Swedish word called lagom, which is it translates into not too much or not too little. So basically in the middle somewhere, average, good, perfect average. And that's an interesting word or concept. In Sweden, is quite, we talk about that quite a lot. You don't want to be too much, too little. But the idea is that, and I think that's it's not like a conscious idea, but the effect of it is that you don't go over extreme to wait. We change things, and we are also sort of an agent and some sort of victimization theory that happens here too, politically correctness. But anyway, so I'm rambling here, but I think it's very interesting that you can look at it that way, that extreme victimization movement, or politically correctness movement, if you want to use that word, also gives rise to a counter reaction, which is logical, I think. And that's the problem, because then we have extremes in the other way, which isn't okay either. But if you're part, I mean, this is the point I'm trying to make. You have to be able to talk about these things that in an orderly civil manner without going ballistic. So if you're moving quite far into the victimization area, you have to be able to understand that you're doing that, and that will have a counter reaction. If you, at the same time, so if you're constantly pointing out that, oh, you can't have this, and this is wrong, and everything is wrong, you have to understand that the effect of that will be the rise of the other extreme. And I think the solution is in the middle, of course. It's not being overly politically correct, but it's not the other way either. It's not being underly politically correct either. So I mean, the answer is in the middle. So the question is, how do you get people to meet in the middle and understand that both sides have their point, but they're too extreme? And how do we end up? And I think most people are in the middle. I think most people can understand and talk and realize that some of these things are just silly. But then there's some people that get really silly. And I'm not saying we shouldn't. There's lots of things that should be changed and have to be changed in the civil society, and you have to work on that. But we have to find a middle ground where we don't give where these extremes don't arise. Basically, that's my point, I guess. So anyway, I'm gonna stop recording and go get my kids some breakfast. Thank you for watching. This has been the Lone Oak Farm Let's Play, and I'm Andy. If you like this channel, please subscribe. If you like this episode, please hit the like button, leave a comment or share. Have a great day. Bye bye.